All right, live show. What's happening in Minnesota real estate? Michelle, Michaela, Chuck, and I think Ashton's going to be joining us soon. And you might not even know who's Ashton if you listen to the show or watch the show. This is episode number 32 that we started in almost about this time 4 years ago. So we do it mostly quarterly after the first few months where we did it more frequently because that was the changing COVID market. Now the market is changing and shifting. And many of you know, if you listen to the podcast or follow me a little bit, I do little short real estate shift shows, just update you on real estate topics. And I haven't done those for a little while because the market shifting is being way, way more active here this month than the previous winter months. So right now I'm going to let Michelle say hello, then Michaela say hello. So Michelle, you can say hello.
Hi, everybody. So we haven't done this for November, October, December? November. Wow. That's like 4 months ago. Cool.
And Michaela, have you ever been on a show?
Yeah, I have. Yep.
This is your second appearance, so I'm assuming you haven't been on several of them.
No, I think second, third, maybe third, but for sure second appearance, yeah.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Hi.
Sounds good. So if you don't know Michaela, she has been helping us for a couple plus years now in various ways, showing agent, doing her photos and videos, and now she's full-time RE/MAX Results agent.
Woo! Full time, yep, as of January this year. Full time.
So I have when you're watching this live, if you're listening to this, you'd have no idea because you're not watching it, but you can catch the video replay on YouTube, Facebook, and then also on the Real Life Impact podcast. You can always comment below when we do these extended live shows with your real estate questions. And sometimes people do, when we schedule these, sometimes we just pop on. This one I did post that we were doing this morning, that we'd be on at 1:00. So not everybody's sitting around waiting for real estate shows at 1:00, but we are here if you are there.
That's awesome.
I mean, they're not just sitting around waiting for a real estate podcast. I think during the COVID years, people were like super sitting around watching these actually, but probably not these days.
Coming on live today.
All right. So what we wanted to talk about, what we always do in this show is talk about what is literally happening this quarter recently or starting to happen in real estate. So Michelle, what are you getting? What's the vibe? What's the feeling on the market right now for real estate in Minnesota and Wisconsin? Where I'm also
Yeah. Still a lack of inventory. Haven't we been saying that for 4 years? I feel like, COVID years, there was lack of inventory, but enough inventory. People are moving because of the interest rates. But yeah, for sure, lack of inventory. I've been talking with other RE/MAX agents recently, and they say the same thing. Definitely need more properties on the market. There are buyers. I don't think buyers are super scared of interest rates anymore. It's like, it is what it is. You want to buy a house, but can't buy one if they're not on the market. So.
Yeah. Well, technically, you could buy one when they're not in the market, but nobody knows about them unless somebody knows about them. And then even if nobody knows about them, with one person knowing about them, it's hard to get them to the masses. So it'd be better to list your property. So, and
yes.
There was a long way of both me and Michelle saying we need listings. And we reach out to people, at least I do every day, like, hey, do you have any real estate questions, needs, thinking about moving? Because it is literally, if you have a home in most of these areas that's ready to go and priced where it should be, you'll probably get more than you should right now, just like many of the shows in the past when you all thought the market was better and you thought the market would be worse this year. I'm not saying you all, but not like Michaela and Michelle. I'm saying the people are listening like, dang it, the market didn't go down. The sellers are happy. Buyers like, this sucks. I got high interest rate and the homes are still the same price. And there's none of them out there. So like when I'm showing a home, I'm working with, for example, a buyer buying in, say, the North Metro, just, right outside the cities, Coon Rapids, Brooklyn Park, some of these areas, $300,000 home. I think last week I showed one that had over 100 offers, over 100 showings and 24 offers.
Oh.
We made a decent offer that would a lot of times get it, but we did not get it.
Wow. That's crazy.
Maybe we're helping the same buyer, Chuck.
I don't think so.
Oh, funny. No, I mean, true. It's like we were chatting about earlier this week. It's like lack of inventory. But then when the houses come on the market, they're either low like that, where you get 100 showings and 24 offers because it was low enough that, that drove that price up, or they're too high and then we got to come down. Chop, chop.
Yeah. And I don't think, it's not like we've never mentioned this before, not like we don't mention it every time we meet with the seller, but this market is maybe the biggest, like, talk about real estate shift. Like, if you're at that price point, say $299, and that's what it should be, and there's not much inventory, it goes way higher. But if you're at a price point in your area where it's like, well, I'm hoping it's 375, 400, but it's 365, and you're at a little bit higher of that, nobody even knows it exists. They like ignore it because it's just a weird price range for people. It's like the in-between price range. That particular price range is an in-between price range. Well, most people are under 300, under 350, or then if they can afford more, they want a different house and they want it to be 450. So
yeah, I mean, that's like the same game that's been for years. I mean, yeah, maybe COVID, everything just sold, right? But even when I sold my house last year, which I closed last year today, I had that same issue where I thought it was maybe a little bit more than it was. And it probably was. It's just, if anyone knew, it was like a 1-car garage on a really busy highway. So that brought the price down, but it was in that 350 to 400 range. And when you're in that range, like, you're right, it's either you go buy a 400 house or you buy a 350 house. That range is kind of tricky, and it has been since 10 years ago when I started. So, and we're seeing that now. We see that now with some of the listings we have now. So yeah, I think that's totally true. And what are you seeing, Michaela? So Michaela's like out showing houses for the whole world. And, if anybody didn't know, Michaela helps other agents show houses as well. So she's out running around meeting other agents and showing houses. So she sees the world through other people's eyes, not necessarily just through our clients' eyes. So what are you seeing, Michaela?
Even the buyers that I'm helping, that I've connected with, and I go to set up a search for them, and there's nothing out there at all that they could, want or would work for them in the days to come. So they're just kind of waiting for that one to come on that might work. Like one of the buyers I was helping, one of my clients helping them a couple weeks ago, we put an offer, and it was a house that came on. I knew it was going to go into multiple offers, and we did lose out on it, but it's just, that was like the one that came on in 2 months. That was somewhat of retrospective what she would really want. So it's like, how high do you go as a buyer? Like, how high are you willing to go? So the ones that I'm helping show houses all over the place, it's just, there's not a lot out there. So, and they're struggling with that too, because I'm helping other agents. So it's not just Chuck and Michelle that I'm helping, but I'm helping other agents in RE/MAX and other brokerages, and their clients are also having the same challenges as well, finding properties that they like in their price range that don't fly off the market. So
yeah,
inventory is, like you guys were saying, is low.
Yeah, and specifically first-time home buyer, specific to the location, inventory is low, and also specifically acreage properties with outbuildings are good acreage properties priced where they should be. Not many options on those. If, like I said, there's the in-between price ranges where I don't think there's a lot of them, but it's just in between. It's not popping, a little bit too high for first-time home buyers, a little bit not enough for the next level buyer.
Right. Helping a lot of first-time home buyers right now. So quite a few of them.
That wouldn't be a never-ending story, Michaela.
I love
to buy houses.
Yes, I
like
love
you.
Especially
Go ahead.
fun. It's exciting for them, and to find them a house, it's super exciting for them. So
yeah, and then the other question we get, so let's say there's a move-up buyer who's not a first-time home buyer. Can you find a house and make it all work? If things are tight for financials, like you can't, qualify for both houses, it's getting a little bit tough. As far as people taking contingent offers, it really depends what you're looking for. If it's in the price range where there are some options and there's a few of them out there, seller will consider a contingent offer and they feel like your starter home will sell. So it's not out of the question, but it's just a little bit tougher if you have a property to sell now, again, to get your contingency, offer accepted because somebody else probably is non-contingent.
Yeah, I mean, true. That is true. And that's, again, been true for a long time. The good thing we've figured out along the way is that we'll get your house listed for sale, contingent on you finding a home. And I have yet to see anyone not find a home, and it works out. So that, or a lot of new construction will take contingent offers, doing that recently. Or the ones that are a little bit overpriced probably take a contingent offer eventually. So,
or if they're not looking to close until middle of summer, and they'd be more open to taking a contingent offer as well.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, and since we don't come on here a lot, that we can talk about too, is like that's exactly kind of what we're talking about. But it's like, how do I sell my house and buy a house as that step-up buyer? And then we just said what you can do, but to get like, oh, but what if it sells? Well, if your house sells and we have it contingent on you finding a property, you do not have to sell your house. You can stay in your house if you want. So it's not happened to us where you had to stay in your house, but you could. So lots of options.
Yeah, and then the other thing that's happening that I did want to bring up a little bit, touch on it in this show, is at least it's on the news. And I don't watch news, so I don't really know what the news says. And but it's out there as the real estate settlement. They talk about the commission and the National Association of Realtors versus the attorneys. So anyway, I don't even know the right word for it because I don't really pay attention. I'd be like, you're in real estate, you should pay attention and get all worked up and do TikTok videos. I'm not on TikTok. TikTok videos.
No.
I read a headline in one of the newsletters I get from like the national real estate news sources. They're like, agents take to TikTok and vent. And
I saw that too. What the heck? Not me.
Has anybody watched any of those yet?
No.
My tax person said she watched somebody and she was trying to explain it to me. And when I dropped off my taxes, somebody was like, she thought it was like a scare tactic and how she explained it, I didn't totally understand because I didn't see it. But I think there is a lot of like fear, what I would say fear by realtors, like, oh, it's changing how we do real estate. So here's the biggest thing. It's changing how we do real estate. I'd say the highest percent of the change is for the good. For realtors and for buyers and for sellers. There's still some percent of change that is not thought through and it'll be really bad for some buyers and maybe just unfortunate for sellers who don't listen well, but maybe unfortunate for sellers who don't listen well even now. So it's probably not that big of a deal. The change, I don't know. I don't want to ramble about it too much. Michelle, what would you like to say that I'm not saying as well as I could as far as explaining what I'm talking about on the real estate change with the settlement that people probably hear on the news?
I mean, assuming it goes through.
Yeah, it's still pending, right?
It's kind of like, remember when we first did our first show and the world was going to end and every house was going into foreclosure? And what else happened, Chuck? We should play that video sometime again.
Well, I remember before COVID, I did a video that the market was not going to go down, but every other realtor that posted anything on social media, literally 99% of them were like, the market's gone down. Oh my God, it's going to be horrible. And I went out right away and like, oh, the market is not going to go down. So at least I did that right. So I think whatever I say today will be the right thing to say too.
I remember before Zillow went bankrupt, you talked about how something's going to change in the next few years and fine, who cares? And we'll just keep going, which we will. But okay, so I'm just amping my brother because he's actually really smart and he's been in real estate for years and years.
Well, also remember when Zillow
older than Michaela years.
Yeah, remember when
Michaela
wants to talk. Sorry, Michaela.
Oh, no, you're okay. I was just saying, I even remember Chuck saying that a couple years ago, like something is going to change. We don't know what that is yet, but it's going to change and we're going to figure it out because that's just what we do. But I remember that.
But here's the deal. When I said what was going to change, it was literally, I didn't want to say this was going to change because then people would be like, some people might be like, yeah, I want this change. But this was what I was meaning it was going to change. This exact thing is what I like literally like 2000, probably 18, it was on my mind. And then I said it, but I didn't want to like say it to have people. Well, I wish I would have probably explained it in detail. People think I was the smartest person in the world, but as far as real estate goes, this was what would be happening. But what I was going to say, also, I remember when Zillow was doing all the Zillow offers. I'm sure somewhere I have a video saying they're trying to just, and that's part of what made prices go up because the investors are buying houses for that small period for about as same as retail, that they thought they could buy these houses and then everybody would call Zillow offers and Zillow would take over the real estate world. Instead, they lost tons of money doing it because they were not like, you can't buy investment property for more than it's worth and sell it and get more than it's worth. So some of these things that people do are really stupid and don't work. And Zillow could do it because they're using other people's money and just losing their money, even that they lost everybody's money in that. But Zillow's still out there and we don't hate Zillow. Zillow's good to us. I'm just saying what they were doing wasn't going to work. And I basically told people it wasn't going to work. And it didn't work.
I know, but even at that time, I told some of my sellers, just go to Zillow because they'll buy your house for more than maybe I can get. The ones that have like way too much to clean up, like no chance, like they're getting it cleaned up. But those were the days. So as far as the whole NAR or whatever is going on, basically it just changes like paperwork, honestly, because a lot of what was going on is what we do anyways. It changes paperwork and it'll change like what's offered on the MLS to agents. That's about it.
Yeah, now, what people do know, right? What people do know is realtors list a property. If you ever list a property, and there's a commission, and in the commission, it's like a fee also to the buyer's agent who would bring a buyer. And many people, when it's listed, have a different agent bring a buyer, and the buyer has their own agent, and the seller has their own agent. And the reason that was like that years ago, it was only sellers had agents and then buyers got screwed. So then they're like, oh, this is bad. We better change this. This was before my time. We better change this so buyers quit getting screwed. So buyers should have an agent, sellers should have a agent. Even during that time, there was an offering of a split commission, but then it just became more or less standard that you'd offer a split commission. So buyers had somebody to help them so they didn't get screwed. And now sellers are like, but now I'm paying for the buyer's agent commission and I can't even negotiate the commission way lower. And it's so easy to sell a house. So I wish I could pay less commission.
So easy. Right? So simple. I never lose sleep over it.
So we never have any problems. Every transaction goes perfect.
Yep,
and we don't see anything new on every transaction, meaning we do see something new on almost every transaction. And
nobody would want to see or know about.
And the stuff that if they did know about, they wouldn't know how to handle it because they've only done it once. But anyway, so it basically now sellers potentially will have the right to say, I don't want to offer a buyer agent a commission. And the seller's like, now I get to save money. Really great. I'm going to put 2%, 3%, whatever in my pocket. What if 20, remember I talked about those listings that had 100 showings and 24 offers? What if now they only had, because, well, I'm not going to get paid to show it and my buyer needs representation because they don't want to get screwed. So now they only had 20 showings and 5 offers. Did they save 3% or did they cost themselves 7% when that house sold?
Themselves 7%.
Yeah. So they lost 4%. So it's not necessarily going to work. Like people just crunch the numbers and think the numbers are the numbers. It's like, no, if 20 people show it and you get 5 offers, or 100 people show it and you get 24 offers, you're actually going to make more money, even that you're paying the 6% than trying to pay the 3%.
Well, again, that's what I'm saying. It's not a lot different than paperwork, because when those of you out there that have sat down with us or other agents and we tell you about what we do to help you sell your house, and then you realize what we do after the transaction, sometimes up front it's like, wow, why do I pay this much? But then you realize what we do and you're like, oh man, glad I had you. But a lot of it is like whatever the fee is to help you sell your house, we usually get above and beyond that for you based on the situations at hand. So at the end of the day, will people go show you houses if you want to buy a house? Yeah, probably, but not without representation contracts. So.
Yeah, so it's going to be mandatory to have a representation contract. If clients who work with us know, eventually at some point we do sign, hey, we're working with you. And some agents sit down with you beforehand, like, you sign this or we can't help you. And, you know, that's fine too, whatever works. But basically, we will have to say, I can't really help you unless we have an agreement that you want me to help you, because I can't disclose things that that you would need to know about it, because you haven't hired me to be helpful for you. Just like a contractor can't just come start re-roofing my house if I haven't agreed to have them help me, right?
Yeah.
So I have to have some kind of agreement with that contractor of some sort if I'm doing a big deal, right? If it's a small deal, the handyman might come over and do it, but then the handyman's work isn't always great. You're like, ah, crap, wrong handyman.
Yeah, I mean, in every relationship in life, no matter if they last for 3 months when you're helping them buy a house or whatever you're doing, there's usually some kind of contract. It doesn't have to be a signed contract, but there's usually some kind of contract. So yeah, there's different forms, like disclosure forms that we have to sign before we can help you, and then there's actual contracts. So funny enough, as you all know, I was a realtor in Florida for a long time, and then I sold my house, so I'm not there currently. However, in Florida, we did not have a buyer's contract. So in Minnesota, we always did. In Florida, we did not. So I did not run on a buyer's contract in Florida. So now it's mandatory everywhere.
I don't think it's mandatory in every state.
You don't think so?
I think there's several states it's mandatory. Minnesota is one of them. So
I don't know. We'll see what comes out of this. But
Florida is probably one of them. Some states have agency different. Remember, Wisconsin does it different. Colorado does it different. So there's certain states that do things differently. We don't have to know all the state regulations, only the ones.
you have to know ours in Wisconsin.
So, and so what I wanted to say though, so Michelle's painting the picture. I give a couple examples where it could be worse. In general, it is probably better. There is flexibility where the seller doesn't feel like they have to be obligated to pay a buyer's commission if they absolutely don't want to. The benefit is you want to have another 75% of people available to show it. And actually, most people can see that you need separate representation if that's something that makes sense, or, you know, somebody helping the other agent or the buyer if they need somebody else to help. Some people don't want dual representation. They do want to have that option. So that's still available. It's just, it could be a little bit trickier at first navigating. I think here's where this should be like minute 23 of this live video. Here's what Chuck said, and let's see if it happens. I think the biggest people hurt by this, they also painted as going to be more affordable. Michaela and Ashton and me talked about this today. I think the biggest amount of group of people that are hurt by this is people who need affordable housing. So they always want to help people do affordable housing. They're trying to pass bills to make it affordable housing. And guess what? The people who are trying to get affordable housing don't have a lot of extra funds. They need the seller to pay closing costs, or they need Minnesota Housing Finance grants. And if there's competitive offer situations, guess what? The buyers with more money get them now. But now, if there's not commission offered, and maybe, you know, somebody with a little extra money can pay their agent commission, but somebody with not a lot of extra money don't feel they could pay their agent commission on the few sellers who don't want to offer any buyer agent commission, which is all negotiable, can be negotiated. And guess what? Those people who need affordable housing will never get a house. They'll literally be homeless or stay in an apartment, which might be good for the landlord. So it helps landlords, but they'll
never get that. They'll maybe could get a house, but not the one in multiple offers.
Not the one in multiple offers, and basically the worst house available they could get.
Yeah, and it's weird because we just switched the contracts last year to not show that they're in like Minnesota housing or down payment assistance programs technically, so that it wasn't discrimination against them. And now they're just going to be discriminated more. And not because like we won't help them. We will definitely help them. It's just like going to be because during COVID, so many multiple offers, I think they were saying that people down payment assistance on contracts were getting discriminated against because it said like you needed like a subordinate financing. So now they changed that so it didn't look like that. So they weren't getting discriminated against. And now, like, what are you going to do? How are you going to stop that from happening? So what they're doing because of a huge lawsuit from a few people.
Well, because the lawyers wanted to make money. Let's just face
The
it.
lawyers wanted to make money,
A gap,
not
and the
discriminate.
lawyers wanted to make millions of dollars. Let's pick on the lawyers, not the realtors now.
Yes.
Took the opportunity.
So now a few people will do better because of it, and it's not going to be worse for our big group. But then there is this group that really needs the most help, that literally is going to is in big trouble now. So
Yeah, unfortunately. And it's going to take out people like us that don't have experience or not on a team.
Well, as far as realtors, yeah, I get it. We'll get to that in a bit. Let's bring AJ in. Ashton.
Hello.
Hi.
How's everyone doing?
What's up, AJ? Look at
Just
those
got
little
done
house
photoing-
showers.
Just got done photoing a house, so that went well. Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So for people that don't know, Ashton is new to the team. He has, over the couple years, helped us a little bit do photos and videos when Michaela couldn't do it. So he has been helping us for a little while too. But now he is licensed and he does showings as well for us, sort of like Michaela did, like kind of doing what Michaela did for the last couple of years. But he's getting busy pretty quickly too, because he's helping other agents. So how's it going so far, Ashton?
It's going very well. Been very exciting time. It obviously is a very interesting time to enter real estate. I'm getting a lot of experience as I'm going very rapidly, which is awesome. And just excited to keep going forward. Keep learning from this great team here.
Sounds good. Well, welcome to the show, because I'm not sure if we've had you on the show before. Is this your first time appearance? And what's
This
happening?
is the first appearance on the show.
Have you watched and listened to every of the past episodes?
Every
Study up.
single one I have not listened to. Gotta be honest, rip that Band-Aid off right away. But
I think it's Grandma Gail and Lori who watches all the shows. That's about it. There might be one other closet.
I did
We've
check
gotten
that
deals from the
out.
well, hello, Grandma Gail, and hello, Lori. Nice to meet you.
On the Carstensen team page now, I wasn't like this before, but if you look on when you have we have comments and such, if Grandma Gail comments now, it says I think it says top producer with like the
Top
diamond.
contributor.
Top contributor with the diamond on it now, and when she comments on something.
Cute.
And
On
for
our
those,
previous-
so then, for those who don't know, Michaela and Ashton, who's your mother?
Michelle.
Michelle, yeah.
This one over here.
Yeah, the one above me.
I remember when I started in real estate and you guys were little. And I was like, oh, one of you or maybe both of you were like, maybe I'll do real estate someday. And I was like, yes or no. And then Michaela started with us a couple of years ago. And AJ did too. He's taking photographs, like Chuck said. But Michaela got licensed a couple of years ago and AJ was in college. And now, like, oh, look at us, cute little Chucky.
I know.
Chucky,
Check
yeah,
out our new
Chucky.
team photos. They're pretty epic. We look good.
So yeah, anyone out there that is looking for a real estate team and watching this and wondering what's going on, well, those two are in the car. Me and Chuck are just in the office, like we're on a billboard or something. Well, they're like hustling. So just kidding, sort of.
I think we're all hustling pretty hard now.
We're hustling for
I think so. They just look like they're hustling because they're in the cars and we're in offices.
Got to transition back to what we're talking about. Hey, first of all, not like Michelle said up front, none of it's official. It's just kind of in the process. So nothing's changed really right now, but there's changes coming. And a couple of the things I mentioned are likely changes on the horizon. And I think what Michelle was about to say is one of the real estate shifts I've said before, there's less real estate transactions. So then less sales to go around for realtors, then the less realtors can hang around the business. So, and maybe people think it's a good thing. Less realtors will be in the business or whatever. But yeah, I think it does. What I was talking to Ashton and Michaela about this morning is it does help. I don't know, a realtor who needs this, has their profession, who does okay, doing a decent amount of deals, just doesn't have the leads, the networking, the experience to navigate, to negotiate the various situations because it's not going to be consistent from one listing to the other. So the various situations we're going to face, and when things get too much variety, most people just can't handle it, and it messes with them. and then it's going to knock some people out of the business. I think that's what you're about to say, Michelle, right?
Yeah, which the business gets overcrowded, just like any other business, and people get laid off or fired or quit. So it's just like any other business. I know people are like, "Oh, it's real estate." Is it like, yes, it's a business. We get paid by other humans, just like everybody else. So.
Mm-hmm. And for the most part, we obviously run it like a business. Now we're a team, so it's not, we work on commission for the most part. And commission is because, well, if something doesn't go through, do you want to hire me hourly? I could potentially say, hey, hire me hourly.
Yes.
And do it. And I think that's kind of part of that commission lawsuit was like, well, like you get this much and it only took so long. But people forget when you're in a business and have expertise, you're not paid hourly, you're paid because you have expertise. So then somebody new, like Ashley and Michaela, they work with us because they get our expertise, our learning, but then the buyer is rewarded by working with us because then they have availability that we can be on top of things and get somebody out to a listing because they are selling quick. And it's like, hey, I need this to see this in 2 hours. Well, I got an appointment here, but Ashton can go do this. But if you had just one person struggling to balance the family, the events, and helping 3 clients, then they can only help one person or maybe no people that day. But we got obviously 4 people that can help the people we're working with, and we're pretty much right on it. So then people are benefited by having the diversity of the younger people helping us and the experience Michelle and I have.
Yeah, that's what we said at the beginning of the show, because they're out helping other agents because they don't have showing agents like we do. I mean, I'm not saying nobody does. There's teams that have showing agents, but the ones that are out by themselves doing on their own, good for them for hustling and signing Michaela and AJ up to help them show houses too. So
yeah. I don't know how they keep up with it. The more I help other agents, interesting how they keep up with it have kept up with it by themselves thus far. It takes a lot out of a person to do all that by themselves. Whereas if they had a showing agent that was hustling for them, then they could find more people, work with more people, enjoy more of their everyday life, and let us younger folks run around for the things they don't want to do.
Well, ask Chuck. He used to do it before me.
We all kind of been there. And I think you bring up a good point. Like, it's great if somebody's got a regular job, that's how they earn their income. And sometimes people devalue real estate agents because, well, this just took you. You came here and it listed and it sold and it got bid up really easy. And somebody else could have done it. But could have somebody else done it as well to get you the extra $7,000? Could if somebody done it as well, but the first deal fell through, but we kept the third deal and the second deal in line. So the second deal still paid you as much more than you thought because we handled it correctly with the next deal down the line. Could somebody help you when that buyer backs out? But in the meantime, I was working on all the other calls, keeping them there. So then as soon as the one backed out, we had a new offer that was even better. And most people can't do that because their pipeline's not as deep, their experience isn't as deep, but people don't put anything into that. And basically you have 4 people working for you at once, or 5, counting Esther, 5 people working for you at once, even that it might seem like it took 10 hours of work. There's other people working for you during that time. And you don't get that with everybody else. So that's what we feel like. Any of the changes that are coming down the pipeline in the next few months actually are an advantage for us. That's actually going to help us help more people, because some people just can't handle it, is what I'm saying, as far as realtors. Because like Michaela said, it's a daunting thing. It's not easy. You got to be available. If somebody wants to see that house at 6 o'clock that's going to sell tonight, sorry, honey, I'm not going to be home for dinner. I'm going to go hopefully help somebody sell or buy a house.
One of my friends that I just met with actually for coffee, she's like, so I'm assuming you work on the weekends. I'm like, girl, I work 24/7, 7 days a week, and my phone is always on. I don't want to miss any calls or texts or emails, especially for my team lead, Chuck. If I miss his email, then I'm gone. No, I'm just kidding. But you're always on the clock. And she's like, man, that's got to be tiring. I'm like, it just becomes part of your life. Like, it's what you do. It's what you love to do. And so people my age, they're going into jobs and offices or coming out of college, not quite sure what they want to do yet. And they're figuring those things out. And I've talked with quite a few people. They're like, how do you like real estate? Like, that's just got to be crazy. It's got to be like a different beast. And like, actually, if you have good mentorship and you know what you're doing, it's a lot simpler than one might think. Yeah, you gotta, if you're talking to people all the time, finding people to work with and connecting with people. But once it starts getting set out for you, it's actually not too crazy. Just gotta have a really good schedule set up. So
Until we give her a tough client.
yeah, well, and she was even, mentioning to me that, her parents say, and this, I've heard this before too, her parents are working with their coworker, so-and-so that like has their real estate license, but like work full time. So they're not really a full-time real estate agent. They're actually a full-time worker that has the real estate license. And she's like, I feel like they're the ones finding the houses, trying to ask them to help them show it to them, and there's the availability is not there, which I know Chuck was talking about. Like AJ and I, Ashton and I for sure have the availability to run around and show houses to them when need be, but some people don't have that availability, so that helps our team be more readily available to help you.
That brings up a great point, Michaela, but what happened in the new lawsuit and how those agents are not going to make it because unless they're doing it for free.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's not so much of a hobby. It's not going to be a hobby anymore. It's going to be people that really take it serious, have a passion for it, and it's their career. It's what they've built their life around that are going to be the ones still soaring. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be a hobby anymore for people that just have it to do it for people they know.
Yep.
And that's really never worked well. I mean, a few people it's worked well for that way, but a lot of people are licensed in, for example, Florida, California, just to maybe one of their friends will use them once, and the commissions were really high. And that may be another reason it's like it just eliminates people like, oh, there's no way I can even get my one commission a year to have my license. It will eventually help the consumer eventually. Like you're just working with people that can really help you. Because they're in the business for long. There'll be some, I don't know how wild it'll be a little bit challenging, I think, for everybody to navigate in a few months. Right now, nothing's really changed other than the conversations are starting to be had like we're having.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fun. I mean, I'm the negotiator, so.
That's what you're told.
I had a client the other day that texted me, since you're the negotiator, what do I do? I was like, yes, I am. Of course I am. It's what I does.
Yep. So let's wrap it up here in a couple minutes. We're at 38 minutes on the live show. Any final things, comments on anything real estate you wanted to share that we didn't talk about, or just to kind of recap what we talked about?
Keep buying, people. Keep buying, keep selling. Don't be afraid to do that. I've been quite a few things I would say Mom and I have looked into is people stay in their houses for years and years because they're so concerned about the interest rate, or they had a really low interest rate when they got it and they don't want to spend more. But all right, why waste years of your life being somewhere you don't want to be just because your interest rate might be 2%, 5% difference? I mean, it's going to be ever changing. So if you want to be on that lake property, if you want to have that land, if you want to have the land to build, do it. Like, don't just stay where you're at just because of your interest rate. Let me tell you. So that's something I've learned recently to pass out to the world.
Sounds good. Ashton, what's on your mind?
I would say the biggest thing, kind of going off of what Michaela was saying, is like there is some changes that are starting to happen and have been in the progress of happening and starting to happen over the last couple of years. But now that we're starting to see a little bit of traction, and like when there's these big changes that happen in the market, that creates a lot of opportunity. You can look at it in any different kind of market throughout any kind of finance or just social in general. When things like start to happen and there starts to be a little bit of traction, there's lots of opportunity to buy, there's opportunity to sell, there's lots of opportunity to get where you want to be. And I think that this is just the first start of seeing like, okay, now this is when it's starting to happen. So now might be a good time to make that decision you've been waiting to make.
Awesome. Michelle.
Oh, I just love that it's springtime. Whoever's watching this, whenever you're watching this, is springtime. So this is where the buyers come out that want to buy for real and also want to buy lake properties because I love showing lake properties in the summer. And the farms and the land. Let's go buy some land to put my camper on. I mean, this is always the fun part of the market. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
And there are withheld listings. Like I've got a signed listing on a 20-acre property in Hinckley, 2099, that's withheld, that they're just getting moved out of. Smaller farmhouse, again, 20 acres, 30 by 50 outbuilding. Just signed one last night. Sandstone, 145-acre hobby farm, wooded, tillable land, good mix of land. Again, an older farmhouse, but nicely updated. And that one will be $530,000. And then I have an off-market one in Harris, one-level home, 3 bedrooms, cute home. And that's, like I said, in Harris, it's a city-sized lot, but kind of a low-traffic area. And that one's going to be on the market. We thought a couple months. Now they're moving it up for a couple weeks. And that was updated inside and out. That'll be in that first-time home buyer range, like I said, 269. But it's also like a downsized one because it's a one-level. So we're working on getting more listings. We're not out there yet as the sellers get them ready. And
I have one.
Taylor has one.
I have one. A townhome in St. Cloud. 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 2-car garage. Withheld. Taking photos of it next Monday. 155. If you know of anybody. I got one.
Yeah, and we're working on more. So there are inventory out there. So if you are looking just online and being a little secret looker, little peeping Tom, I'm just kidding. That's a weird thing to say.
I gotta correct my own.
Looky Lucy.
Looky Lucy, yeah. Let us know that you're looking and what you're looking for. Maybe we have something about to come on the market. That's really what I'm saying, but I try to use weird humor. May or may not work. All right, so we're going to sign off.
Bye.
All right, questions and team, Remax results. And this is what's happening in Minnesota real estate, show number 32, signing off.